is that ability to keep one's attention in the present moment, using as the objects of attention the body, physical sensations, five senses, the thoughts, the emotions, and the breath, for the purpose of staying connected to the body. Because when we go into the stress mode, our main coping mechanism is our ability to disconnect, so that we don't have to experience the pain and suffering that might ensue if we're in a true survival situation. So mindfulness keeps us connected to the body, which in turn keeps us from getting stuck in that stress mode, in that fight or flight mode. It's a very, very simple approach, and also very, very effective. I find that the simplest approaches are the most effective ones. So simply by the means of attending to, using that ability of us that we have to pay attention to those four things, body, thoughts, emotions, and breath, simply by doing that, we keep the stress at abeyance, which is a big, big deal. So let's start with a warm-up exercise. We'll do a 15-second mindful smile as we combine that with focusing our attention throughout the body as we are doing the mindful smile. So starting right now, 15 seconds, here we go. And there we have it for warm-up number 1. Warm-up number 2, which is something that I go back to frequently, is mindful breathing. Simply bringing our attention to the experience of breathing. So starting that warm-up exercise, coming to a comfortable position. If we're sitting, lining up the head, the neck, and the spine. Embodying those attitudes of alert attention and self-acceptance. And then as we breathe in and out through the nose, keeping our attention right there so that we're fully experiencing each in-breath and each out-breath. On the in-breath, noticing how the belly expands. And then on the out-breath, how it contracts. And just finding a comfortable cycle for yourself. Just settling into a natural rhythm. Breathing in, slight pause, and breathing out. The key here is fully experiencing the breath as it is in this moment. And also noticing when the attention wanders and bringing it back to the breath. So there's a lot of coming and going, but that's how we build up our practice. That's how we build up our ability to focus our attention in the present moment. The body being the gateway, the doorway into that present moment experience. So breathing mindfully. Staying with the breath. Noticing when the attention wanders away from the breath. Where does it go? Let's notice that. And then coming back to the breath. Bringing that attention back to the breath so that we're fully experiencing each cycle of breath. In breath, pause, out breath. In breath, pause, out breath. Simply breathing. We're really not trying to change anything. We're just attending to and fully experiencing breathing. It's a very, very effective way of staying connected to the body. The body likes that feeling of us being connected. When it feels that, it keeps us from getting stuck in that fight or flight mode. The autonomic nervous system responds to that. And staying with the breath. All right, so that's the 2-minute mindful breathing warm-up exercise. So for today's practice, 8-minute practice, we're going to continue to go into mindful breathing, but I want to focus on something in particular. There are many people who when they breathe, when they breathe in, the abdomen goes in rather than expands. It's a long story, but it has to do with the stress response. When we're stuck in that stress response, it wreaks havoc with our ability to breathe correctly, to breathe naturally. And what happens is, instead of doing that long, deep diaphragmatic breath that begins at the belly, the breathing shifts up to the chest. And we do this rapid, shallow breathing from the chest, like that. And that just perpetuates our getting stuck in that fight or flight mode. So what we want to do when we're doing the mindful breathing is to focus the attention on the belly. And noticing, is that belly expanding on the in-breath? Or like so many people, is the belly contracting on the in-breath? That's an indication that there's some stress going on there. So we want to just focus the attention on expanding the belly on the in-breath. So why don't you practice it now and notice what's natural for you. When you breathe in, does your belly go in or does your belly go out? So just checking that out yourself for a few cycles of breath here. Very, very important that we do this correctly, and it doesn't take much to reset the body. So if the body is breathing incorrectly, we just experience a few cycles of breathing correctly, and then over a period of time, it resets that breathing button inside the body. And then we start breathing naturally again. So check it out. Breathing in, is your belly going in or is your belly going out? First step to correcting that is noticing that you're doing it. A lot of the things that we do while we're on automatic pilot, so we're not really aware of it. But breathing is one of those activities that can either be done on automatic pilot or it can be done bringing our conscious attention to it. So it's sort of like a touch point between the conscious and the unconscious. That's why breathing is so effective. It allows the conscious and the unconscious to communicate. So let's do some belly breathing now with the exclusive purpose of feeling, and you can put your hands on your belly. So breathing in through the nose, that's another key. We want to be nose breathing rather than mouth breathing. Breathing in through the nose and expanding the belly. Let's see if that comes natural to you, or if you need to just finesse your body into doing that. Breathing in, belly expands, and then breathing out, the belly contracts. So let's do some cycles of that, focusing our attention on the importance of regaining that natural rhythm so that the belly and the breath are moving together in the correct order. The in-breath, the belly expands out, and the out-breath, the belly contracts down. And with each breath, it starts at the belly, but it rolls all the way up into the upper torso and the shoulders. And there's that slight pause, and then rolling back down again. So let's do some breathing like that for a while. Breathing in, expanding the belly. Breathing in, expanding the belly. If this is your natural rhythm anyway, that's fine. This is just another opportunity to do some very effective mindful breathing. Feeling that belly. So your hands are on your belly. That's the area below the belly button. Breathing in the expansion. Breathing out the contraction. Two keys here: the movement of the belly and the quality of attention to the experience. Remember, we're connecting to the body through the medium of attention. When you notice that you're dropping into automatic pilot, just bring yourself back to the moment, connecting to the breath. Very important to set this rhythm to coordinate the breath and the belly. As I mentioned before, so many people unconsciously breathe incorrectly because of the stress. So we want to create this new rhythm, this new pattern of expanding the belly on the in-breath rather than contracting it like so many people do. All right, and so now we're going to add another dimension to this. So using the creativity and imagination and expanding the field of attention to include the entire body on an in-breath, let's imagine the entire body is expanding. Not just the belly, but the entire body is expanding on the in-breath. And then on the out-breath, there's that contraction, the body settling back down, and then repeating that rhythm. So we're moving from just focusing on the breath at the belly to focusing on the breath throughout the entire body, sensing the entire body expanding on the in-breath. So we're breathing the entire body here. And just follow your creativity here. Everybody approaches this a little bit differently. And just feeling with the experience. Body expands, body settles back. The body expands on the in-breath, and then it settles back. keeping the entire body in your field of attention. So we've expanded the field of attention. We can do that. We can focus it into a narrow focus, or we can expand it into a broad focus. So we're doing both in this exercise, starting with the narrow and then moving into the broad focus. Full body expands on the in-breath and settles back down on the out-breath. And now opening the eyes, let's continue with a couple more breath cycles, but with the eyes open so that we build this bridge between this formal practice of mindfulness and bringing the skill into our everyday activity. And opening the eyes will set the intention and accomplish that. So continuing to practice, to meditate this way, eyes are open, shows us that we can be present 24/7 when we do this. Entire body expanding on the in-breath and settling back down on the out-breath. All right, so that's our 8-minute practice for today. And let's take a question from Jerry. We'll take one question. Jerry wants to know if mindfulness can help with his tinnitus. So just for everybody's edification, tinnitus is a condition where you hear ringing in the ears. Some of you may have heard about this before. And there are varying degrees of tinnitus. There's different manifestations of the ringing, but it usually is very bothersome, and sometimes it can be traced back to an actual physical issue in the inner ear. But a lot of people have a lot of stress due to the tinnitus. So how mindfulness can help the tinnitus, there are two ways. Number one, if you do have a physical situation that's causing this ringing in the ears that's very annoying, it can help you to reduce your stress. That's number one. Number two, and I'll speak from experience here, is I've had that ringing in my ears. I've been aware of it for many, many years, at least 50 years. And I first became aware of it when I was practicing yoga and came across literature on what they call in yoga the Om sound, which coincidentally is a ringing in the ears. And it has to do with the flow of energy in the body and so forth and so on. And there are different meditations in yoga where you can direct that energy and you can hear the ringing in the ears, in both ears or in one ear or the other ear. You can increase the ringing or decrease the ringing and really bring it under your conscious control. Now, so what I've learned is that in many, many cases, people who think they have tinnitus really are just hearing the Om sound. And I've sort of researched this on my own for many, many decades. I've spoken to many people who have told me about the ringing in the ears. And when I give them the literature to read about the Om sound, which comes naturally through the movement of energy in the body, it puts them at ease and they actually begin to enjoy. It becomes a very pleasant experience hearing that ringing in the ears. Some people say it's the sound of the universe. It's definite vibration, and you can definitely hear that ringing. And it modulates from time to time. So I know that there's a vast majority of people out there that think they have tinnitus, but really are just hearing that ringing that's a very, very natural phenomenon in the body. So you need to decide, do some research, Jerry, on the Om sound, and see if that fits you. Maybe you're just hearing the ohm sound and you don't have tinnitus. On the other hand, there may be a situation, a physical situation on the inner ear or something, and then you need to see a specialist. An ENT doctor, ear, nose, and throat doctor, can usually address tinnitus. And if that's the case, then mindfulness practice will help to reduce the stress that comes from that. So I hope that answered your question, Jerry, about the tinnitus and how mindfulness can help. So good to spend time with you again this afternoon, and see you again next time. And in the meantime, be well, take care. I'll see you again.